Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Babel LinkedIn Live event in cooperation this time with the House of Switzerland that we appreciate. And of course, with us today is representing House of Switzerland, Ms. Isabel Gomez, here from the House of Switzerland in Berlin. Just to say hi to everyone if you want, Isabel, right now from the audience.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isabel Gomez. I'm the head of the economic section at the Swiss Embassy in Berlin. And we are preparing a very exciting project, the so-called House of Switzerland in Stuttgart, which I will present to you at the very end of this event.
Thank you so much, Isabel. It's a pleasure having you here today and to nurture from this future collaboration with us. Then for today, a short introduction of what we're going to talk about and actually also who we have here as well. This event is a Baden-Württemberg International and Swiss Smart City Alliance collaboration that are represented here by Dr. Jenny Atmanagara and Professor Vicente Carabias. They will be discussing prominent activities and innovative companies and cities of the two strong regions, which are Switzerland and Baden-Württemberg, that we're going to be here, that we have here represented today. This event, again, it's a part of the House of Switzerland initiative, a pop-up exhibition and event series in Stuttgart, Germany, that will be running from the 1st of July to October 31st of 2021. There will be time to ask questions to the panelists and to make some interventions. We'll try to make this event also as interactive as possible so that both experts on our side and attendees on your side can share insights and have a good time. First, let me introduce the panelists, starting with Ms. Jenny Atmanagara. Since 2014, Jenny has been a senior expert for urban development and sustainable buildings for smart cities at Baden-Württemberg International. This is the central location marketing agent for business and sciences in Baden-Württemberg. Furthermore, she has graduated from Leibniz University in Hanover, Germany, with a diploma of landscape architecture and open space planning. She holds also a PhD in settlement geography and spatial planning from the University of Bern in Switzerland. Jenny has more than 20 years of working experience both in practice and in science, research teaching, and her projects are based on European research programs. She has a focus on urban and regional development, resilience of urban and regional systems, and cultural sustainability. It's hard to do more than this, I guess. Jenny, one from you, say hi to the audience and welcome for today's event.
Thank you, Miguel. Welcome to Stuttgart. Baden-Württemberg International is the central location marketing agency for business and science in and for Baden-Württemberg. And we are closely located to the House of Switzerland. It's only 500 meters away. So whenever you come to Stuttgart during the next weeks or month, please have a look at the House of Switzerland and join us at Baden-Württemberg International.
Thank you very much, Jenny. We look forward to have your inputs along this event and for the future events with House of Switzerland. Now let me quickly introduce also our honorable second guest, Vicente Carabias. Vicente, welcome here today again. Vicente he has a master's degree in environmental sciences from ETH in '96, and he's a professor coordinator of the ZHAW platform for smart cities and regions. Also deputy head of the Institute in Sustainable Development at ZHAW at the Zurich University of Applied Sciences in Winterthur, Switzerland. In the role, he's also a board member of the Smart City Alliance and a member of the Smart City Switzerland. He's also a head of unit of Smart City at the Smart City of Winterthur. Furthermore, Vicente serves as a board member at the Smart City Hub Switzerland. Together with his dedicated team, partners, Vicente develops various applications, concepts, guidelines innovation systems analysis, sustainability assessments, and tools for the development of smart cities and regions. Finally, he accompanies corresponding transformation processes, among other things, as head of innovation team in the Smart City of Winterthur, or as well in the international research cooperations that he has been doing over the past years. Again, one of the richest profiles that we have here today. Vicente, the floor is yours for a quick introduction, please.
Thank you very much, Miguel, for the nice introduction words, and good morning to everyone. As Miguel said, I'm trying to bring together, on the one hand, the world of science through Zurich University of Applied Sciences Winterthur, ZHAW, where I'm coordinating the platform on smart cities and regions. So this is bundling together expertise from different institutes and centers, and we want to support cities, regions who are in the transformation process towards a smarter level. And on the other hand, I'm working for the City of Winterthur in the unit Smart City. So we can, of course, benefit from our activities in science, in academia, but also through our partner networks. And as was mentioned in the beginning, that's why we are also members of these different associations, such as Smart City Alliance, which is more the association of the technology service providers and science institutions, or then the other association, the Smart City Hub Switzerland, which is bringing together all relevant smart cities of Switzerland and the 3 government close companies, which are important for telecommunication, for mobility throughout Switzerland, etc. Thank you. Looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Vicente. And I think me and Jenny, we are both looking forward to for a fruitful discussion. But I would say for now, let's hang on for a few minutes and actually understand where our audience coming from. Because as you mentioned, though, the event today is focused on cooperation, right? And as you mentioned, there's a lot of potential, not only from government side, but also from the private side. So we are now seeing which cities are actually our attendees joining from. Please join at slido.com. The code, you can find it on the screen and on the chat function. So #091,493. You can just put it there when you get in. So we are seeing now some of our attendees here. They are joining. The last one is from Freiburg, from Ludwigsburg, Stuttgart, Lausanne, Novara, Offenburg, and Buxtehude. Apologies if I'm not reading it correctly. I don't know if Jenny or Vicente want to correct me on that city, but it looks like we have quite some nice geographical span in the central of Europe. Also here now coming from Lille, London, very nice. Welcome United Kingdom to our conversation. It's all right, Barcelona, bienvenidos. And I think we already have quite some location, I would say, at least 4 or 5 countries from Europe. New one, well, Freiburg is still on the top of that, so very interesting to see here. Freiburg leading. Hope Freiburg will bring us a lot of good questions for the discussion too. Nantes is there. Welcome, Nantes. Copenhagen, our good friends from Denmark. Welcome. Well, and I think if we do not have any additions, without further ado, we can then pass to the next question, which is also interesting. So what describes your role? What best describes your role in a smart city? So interesting that we have here today half of the participants as a private company, more than half, 54% now. Students, so a quarter of people are students. So I hope, well, Professor Vicente will be able to give some nice inputs for sure, and Jenny, of course. And then from public research institution, university, and we do not have a city representative so far. Welcome, Michael, from Sweden. Welcome to our event too. So happy to have on board, as well as usual, I guess, a lot of multicultural inputs and especially experiences here. Now we have a last question that we can still understand, and this comes more on the differences of the thematic of today. So actually how we see the difference of Germany and Switzerland. I'll see here the language. I guess this might be some common jokes for the German Swiss and for the maybe the Germany or even the Schwabish. I don't know, Jenny, do you have any opinion also on this? You and Vicente have been quite quiet on these questions. You want to give your opinion?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, the language, of course, is important, especially if you want to collaborate with each other.
We have here also bureaucracy.
A different dialect.
Well, the good thing is that in Switzerland, I mean, in the German part at least, we are at school. I mean, we learn the so-called Hochdeutsch, so high German. So we should be able to understand our German friends. The other way around, depending from which canton you come, is maybe more difficult for our German colleagues. But of course, we do our best to understand each other.
Well, that's great. Some people also here talk about the prices, levels of bureaucracy, and well, I don't want to talk about football today, but I guess that at least Switzerland is in the quarterfinals of the European Cup. I guess then we can conclude now the lovely introduction. And again, welcome everyone from the audience, and feel free to share your inputs and questions via chat. But for now, we will start with some nice discussions from Jenny and Vicente. So I'll, if you allow me, I will give the first question more to Jenny, because you conducted your PhD in Bern in Switzerland, and we are talking about now differences between Baden-Württemberg and Switzerland. So how do you see this? Do you see any major differences between the spatial planning field comparing Baden-Württemberg and your experience in Switzerland?
Well, of course, the planning system between Germany and Switzerland differs a lot. In Germany, we have the spatial planning responsibility split to the federal and the regional level, and also the local levels, and there are diverse boards and committees to connect and to coordinate spatial planning in Germany, and also in Baden-Württemberg, of course. And on the other hand, in Switzerland, I think the focus is much more on the cantons, so on the regional level and the local level. And also the political system, of course, is different. With a direct democracy in Switzerland, there is a chance to discuss and to vote on certain projects beforehand. And this also, I think, helps to deliver more acceptance among the population and the inhabitants.
Thank you, Jenny. So you'd say that the biggest difference would be more on the governmental side rather than the execution one, let's say. So on the way that you do the planning. And then maybe passing then pinging this question now to Vicente and framing it on a different way, because I think he can also give some input here, especially on his experience on the city of Winterthur. Do you have any good practices of any experiences, Vicente, from Winterthur that you could share and elaborate with Jenny's answer to?
Well, we have many projects in the context of Smart City Winterthur running. Maybe referring to what Jenny just said, I think of particular interest in that context could be to mention our Winterthur app. So it's a mobile application provided by the City of Winterthur, which with different modules, Some of them are really seen as a community platform where the citizens can interact among them. So this shall support also the participation through digital means. So there is possibility to interact among them in their specific district, so where they live with their neighborhood. There is this neighborhood support that was especially important during last year's lockdowns. So people who were in search of help could enter in the app what they were looking for, and on the other way, citizens who wanted to help could offer their help, and that was a nice matching instrument. But there's also an interaction with the city administration, so it's really bi-directional. So when there is the city notifier, for instance, when they see something is not working well in the city, they can easily take a picture, send it through the app, and then within short time it will be fixed, for instance. No, but there is also a possibility to participate in future developments of the city. There is one module on Winterthur 2040 is about future perspectives, and the citizens can participate and give also their perspectives, their visions, and what they would prefer to have, so that really they can contribute also in shaping the city development.
Thank you, Vicente. It's also very inspiring and to know that the citizen participation is at the core of Smart City Winterthur. I'm sure that is bringing great success on your policies and implementation afterwards of your projects. So picking up with that scope, and I know that in European level, citizen participation is also one of the most important pillars now when defining the new programs from 2021-2027. And for the projects. And Jenny, you have a great experience with European projects from Horizon, from among others, and European research programs. So could you tell us what's the most positive experience that you have had so far with the Baden-Württemberg International, the smart cities at Baden-Württemberg International, and these European programs?
Well, the most positive experience was that I met a lot of very open-minded people, which is, from my point of view, a precondition to develop smart cities and to implement these. We have a lot of innovative ideas and courageous action in Baden-Württemberg and beyond. And what it's also very important that we have a great network of different organizations, institutions, clusters that are supporting each other. And because smart city and communities is such a big issue and difficult to implement, we need these people, and we need this open-mindedness to really bring things to the ground.
And you think, just if I may re-ask a question, you think that your job at the moment is paving the way of opening minds of people, and how do you feel about it? Do you feel when you do such tasks?
Can you repeat your question, please?
You mentioned at the beginning that you are opening a lot of minds. And I'm asking, how do you feel about it? Is this rewarding for you as working at Baden-Württemberg International?
Well, as I mentioned, we collaborate with a lot of other institutions. Baden-Württemberg International itself has 70 staff members. And as you can imagine, this is not enough to manage a whole country. So we develop alliances with other institutions within Baden-Württemberg and beyond to really develop projects to push forward the idea of smart city and communities.
That is fantastic, Jenny. And I believe it's not only fantastic, but something that you have also in common, again, with Vicente. right, Vicente? Because you are now you are leading the Smart City Alliance and paving the way on to, in this case, for more smart solutions to be trusted and implemented. So can you tell us on your side then how actually you are helping the implementation of these future-oriented solutions with your alliance?
Yes, I think there I would like to emphasize that public-private people partnerships are extremely important to bring forward smart cities and regions, not only in Switzerland, I believe that's everywhere. So, and I think for that, this association such as Smart City Alliance, where we have the service technology providers, so the companies, but also science or research institutions who want to support these smart city developments, they come together to offer solutions to the cities and the regions. And what we try is to, on one hand, I mean, for Smart City Alliance, we have a web platform where experts can profile themselves so that they can be found easily. So if cities have a need on a specific topic, then they can search there on the one hand for experts, but also for solutions. So we want to offer there also a virtual marketplace where companies and research institutions can offer their solutions, their contributions to support the cities. We run also several events throughout the year, such as, for instance, the Swiss Green Economy Symposium, which will be held beginning of September in Winterthur, where we will bring together these two associations and their members so that they can really meet also in person and exchange themselves. And then the City of Winterthur is also positioning itself as a living lab. It's called WinLab, for Winterthur Living Lab, where we invite all companies, research institutions, interested people's associations to test their social and technological innovations. I think also this will help to advance in solutions supporting the smart city development. So I think that we have several ways to bridge from one side to the other and advance in our smart city development.
Thank you, Vicente. We got like around more than 50% of actually private companies in the audience. Is this an invitation to engage with the Living Lab in Winterthur?
Absolutely, yes. We have in Switzerland a national thematic network which is called Living Labs for Energy Decarbonization, and currently there is an open challenge campaign running under the name of WinLab, and there all participants are invited to enter their ideas. It's very low level. You can just enter a title of your decarbonization idea and a short description, and then the best ideas will be selected and can win some seed money to further develop it into a major InnoSwiss project, so an innovation development project. Yeah.
That's wonderful indeed, Vicente. Thank you very much also for sharing this extra information with us and with the audience. And I must admit that at the beginning you talked about public-private partnerships, and this is following your thread as well. It's one of the hot topics when you talk about not only in Switzerland but also in European Union in Germany. I would like to ask Jenny what's her opinion on this part of this execution of with public-private partnerships, and how is Baden-Württemberg dealing with this, if there is any success cases or any stories in general that you'd like to highlight, Jenny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. I think public-private partnerships are very important. They can provide solutions for certain problems, and they can adjust solutions in a quick way. What I think is important that the collaboration takes place at eye level among all players involved, and that there is a fair distribution of the risks. And a precondition again for this is that the communication takes place in a clear and transparent way. In Baden-Württemberg, there are a number of initiatives as well. If I pick one of the questions from the comments, the question is on how cities are financed. Of course, they participate in the European programs. There are additional possibilities, additional funding from the federal and the regional level. To mention just one example, in Baden-Württemberg we have a special program for startups and to provide them funding in the beginning and also when they develop further. There are a number of initiatives, of competitions, etc., to bring things forward.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you very much also for looking at the audience question, which it's rather interesting when you talk about the public-private partnerships too, and when it gets to the financing, because at the end it all comes to the question of how we actually going to pay for the projects that we want to implement. Maybe Vicente, you want to add something on that remark? There's a question also on the screen, so I will read it again, maybe for everyone to know. So how actually how are Swiss cities financing their smart cities projects? So if it's with their own budget or with European national funds, and how does the private sector fits into this? And now we already get some German perspective from Jenny. So kind of the last part of the comment, I would pin then the other ones for you, Vicente, please.
Yes, so, well, actually, most of the Swiss cities have their own smart city budget. Well, and as you all know, I mean, smart city is such a horizontal topic that it touches many of our traditional administrative departments, let's say. I mean, of course, we have major budgets when it comes to construction, to energy, but also for digitalization. And in addition, now, for example, if I speak again from what I know best from the Smart City Winterthur, we have an own budget and innovation credit to support the development of pilot projects, of proof of concepts, or so-called smart add-ons on running projects. But I mean, we often try also to release also further support, be it from foundations, from the region, or then from the national government. Our Swiss Federal Office of Energy is running a program, Smart City Switzerland, to support also the cities. And we are also open for European collaboration. So, I mean, we have tried to be engaged already in European projects, but as you know, it's very competitive. I know some of our colleagues are involved in Horizon 2020 projects, for instance. And as I said, we are also open. We were in touch with Fraunhofer Institute, with AIT in Vienna and others, or ZHAW. There are so many institutions. So just to say, we are very open here also for international collaboration. Yeah.
Perfect, and that's I think what the audience wants to hear too. And always thank you for pinpointing these examples, and same for Jenny when mentioning how actually this can be possible. And if I may, we have another question from the audience that goes on the same direction, but more on the local level. So from the audience, Mikael is mentioning that he works in south of Sweden with partnerships for smart and sustainable cities, with the cross-border with Denmark, and sometimes he struggles with difference between strategies and policies from the local and regional level, and I guess sometimes also between national level. But although they are so close, then sometimes the differences are so huge. I guess it's the same now here with Switzerland and Baden-Württemberg. So do you have any good practices or lessons learned of to do or what not to do in these cases that you would like to share? Maybe Vicente, you want to go ahead?
Shall I start? Yeah. Well, I think I mean, in reviewing the smart city strategies all over Europe and especially with our neighbors in Germany, I think what we have all in common is the major goal of contributing to the increase of quality of life, and at the same time also to increase resource efficiency. So I think that's also what we are looking from the cities, that we are looking for solutions who can help us in a sustainable development, as it's mentioned here. You know, we want to develop towards a smart, sustainable city. And I think so all the solutions who can help us in that development, now also with this post-COVID crisis we are facing, everything which is helping us to save resources and at the end also to save money, I think is very welcome. And I guess that's all over the world. So I think that, I mean, if we find ways to develop these solutions and also in partnership with other cities and regions, I'm convinced that this will bring us closer together. Yes, but indeed in Switzerland so far we were also focusing mainly on larger smart cities, medium, small sizes, and we are now also exploring what does that mean for villages and regions. I mean, and I think that the big difference there is that often the villages, I mean, they do not have the resources or huge organizations to run these topics on themselves. So what we know from other topics in Switzerland is that villages, for instance, they join together in community networks with specific purposes, and I could imagine that for the smart city topic that could be also a similar way forward.
Thank you, Vicente. I guess Jenny is ready to also to add something to that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the problems on the local level differ from city to city, from community to community, and that's why it's not really surprising that there are differences in the strategy. And I also think that the solutions provided has to be adjusted to the local conditions. And on the other hand, of course, we want to scale up things. We want to, we also want to export our solutions. And so we are interested in international collaboration. And of course, this strategy has to fit to each other. I would like to pick up one of the comments from Vicente about the resources. This is, I think, the crucial thing on the local level. We have similar problems here on the local level that in the administration of the cities and communities, the capacities of the staff are very limited. The knowledge and the skills have to be improved, and this we realized especially during the pandemic last year, that in regard to digitization there's still a lot to do.
Thank you, Jenny. I can say that also agree that when it comes to capacity, and if you pinpoint again the example of smaller municipalities, smaller cities, villages, they are the ones that lack more this capacity and the ones which struggle. Now we can think about maybe on the context of sustainability, climate change, and now COVID is making a big difference in the entire landscape on how we think, and we have to rethink cities. So what would you both believe in this case, that how cities will, or even when I say cities are from the bigger sizes up to the smallest ones, how are they going to evolve with the post-pandemic scenario, and what does this mean for the stakeholders involved? When I mean stakeholders, research institutions, private sector companies, and local groups. How do you think that this scenario will evolve?
Shall I start again? Yeah.
Go ahead, Vicente.
Okay. Well, I think what we all have experienced during last year is, there was a tremendous boost in digitalization, and this has helped us also in communication, and I'm convinced that even after the pandemic, we will continue using these tools. And I think this is what I mentioned before, also with an increase in efficiency, in resource efficiency. Digitalization can really help us in easier communicate with each other, as this event is showing, no? And if we all remember how it was before the pandemic, we were traveling from here to there. Think of all the impacts it has on with greenhouse gases emitted, with other pollution. So I think digitalization can really help us also in in terms of supporting also mitigation of climate change, adaptation also, and the pandemic showed also that that we need to learn to appreciate more what we have close to us, around us, and where we live. No, because it showed, no, last year we were really locked in our neighborhoods, and at least here in Switzerland, everyone rediscovered how nice it is to go walking in the forests, to take the bicycle, to breathe fresh air outside, and we were really released also by having less noise from airplanes flying over the cities and municipalities, by having less fossil-driven cars on the street. So I think it had also a positive side. No, of course, we are really looking forward to be released, no, by the pandemic, and so we are very thankful to medicine that we have there also solutions. But I think it showed also that these innovations they often come when we have an urgent need, and I think this is also the case in other areas. So if I may bring just two examples, at our university, colleagues are developing an electric vehicle which is specially designed for urban mobility sharing, solar powered, so for short distances. I think this is really interesting innovations which can bring us forward also, in addition to public transport. Of course, we still want to move ourselves in sustainable ways, also with bicycles and as pedestrians, but with public transport. But if there is a need, then we have also that solution. Or another example is Social Power app, which is providing feedback on energy consumption to the citizens. I think so. There's sometimes small innovations which can bring us forward as well.
And that's in the end, we always talk about the baby steps, right? That we want to get to something, we have to break it down in smaller steps, otherwise we can't get there. And what about you, Jenny? What do you think on this perspective from the Baden-Württemberg side again?
Yeah, I think the pandemic shows us that there is a need for permanent and accelerating adaptation in all of our systems. And of course, this is a huge challenge for all the key institutions, for all the players, either in public as well as in business and science. But at the same time, it's also a chance for innovation. And this is what we try to push forward in Baden-Württemberg with our companies, SMEs, startups. There are so many examples across the country, from Lake Constance in the south bordering to Switzerland, up to the north in Mannheim and Heidelberg. We have the solar city of Freiburg, the mobility solution in Karlsruhe, but also in the small and medium-sized communities, like, for example, the winners of the federal competition, Aalen and Heidenheim. So across the country, everywhere, people are working on solutions which help to solve the challenges in regard to pandemic, climate change, sustainability, and so on.
And I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much for that, Jenny. In the end, we have to solve something. If innovation for innovation, having a shiny box that doesn't solve anything is not going to bring us anywhere. And we believe we are past that point. As you all mentioned through your very good inputs today, it's about collaboration, the right collaboration, finding the right impact, the right projects to be planned, of course. And as you mentioned again, landscapes can be different in Switzerland or in Baden-Württemberg, in Germany. But at the end, if we have to work towards the same goals, the same ideas, and with the same vision, and only like that, we can actually create the impact and futurely the cross-border collaboration that already exists, shown by this event today, and it will be continuously shown by the events coming up over the next months. And for that, I'll thank you very much for both of you, Vicente and Jenny, for the lovely contributions, the lovely inputs that you have given to the audience today. And without further ado, I would call to the stage Isabel that could give us a bit more details on what we can expect after this event and what can the audience do with us from now on.
Yes, thank you, Miguel. I will do that with much pleasure. In this event, we have spoken quite a lot about collaboration and as well collaboration across borders. This is exactly what we want to do with our new project, which will start now on the 1st, actually today, on the 1st of July, and it will run until the end of October. It's the House of Switzerland. It's a pop-up house. It's a platform that will be in Stuttgart, in the center of the old town, where we will show a variety of aspects of Switzerland. This will be run by our communication agency of our government, Presence Switzerland, and as well Swiss Tourism, our consulate in Stuttgart, our Swiss Business Hub in Stuttgart, and the embassy in Berlin, where I'm working now. Yeah, at the House of Switzerland, as I said, we have a lot of fun events, but as well very focused events on topics that are of interest for both Switzerland and Baden-Württemberg. And there is a whole series of events on the topic of smart city. We will have a next event coming up now on the 6th of July in Stuttgart at the House of Switzerland, and it's actually called Smart Cities Cooperation Without Borders. So we will exactly focus on this aspect on how smart cities on both sides of the borders can cooperate and improve their experiences as smart cities. We will actually look at concrete examples from the cities of Constance and St. Gallen. And furthermore, the two Rheinfelden, these are two cities which are on both sides of the borders, and they have a common marketplace for their citizens. So we will hear about their experiences, how this has developed. All this session, exactly this one, will be moderated by Alexander Schmidt from Babel. He works at the same place as Miguel. So we will continue our good cooperation. And we will be very glad to welcome you all to this event in Stuttgart. It starts on the 6th of July at 6 p.m. You're welcome to join us physically. So yeah, this is a real event and not a virtual one. But you can as well follow us virtually on our YouTube channel. So we will put the link into the chat as well, that you can have a look at our website. It's called ZHAW, So please have a look at all the events that are coming up. We have further events on smart cities as well at the end of August and as well in September. So you can register for all of those anytime. And I wanted to mention, though, that those events are in German only and not in English. I look forward to seeing you all there, and I'm sure it's going to be a very fun and enriching experience.
Thank you so much, Isabel, not only for the invitation, but also for the very good words that you shared today with us here. And I think we are all excited here today for some more in-person events, although I have to congratulate Jenny, Vicente, and Isabel today for the great participation and an event. However, I think we are all excited for the next in-person sessions that we're going to have in the upcoming months. And I guess without further ado, if there are no more comments today from you, we would close the session. That would be, as you mentioned, followed up by the lovely events of the House of Switzerland. Thank you very much for all today. If you have any further questions, feel free to visit the Babel platform website that you can find in the description too. It was a pleasure to having you here, and wish you a great rest of the week and weekend, if in case.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye-bye.